lounging, son.
Welcome back to the Comic Lounge. My name's Ryan, and today I'm going to be talking about a book I have been very excited to come out. I'm talking about the new Ultimate Spider-Man #1 for the relaunch of the Ultimate Universe, and written by Jonathan Hickman, Marco Checchetto on art, and Matthew Wilson on colors. Absolute dream team to do this book. And before I get into it, I just want to remind you, if you're not already subscribed, please hit that subscribe button. Check out some of the other dope content on the channel. If you are subscribed, thank you. We appreciate all your likes, your comments. They mean a ton to us here. Now, let's get into this Ultimate Spider-Man relaunch. So, beautiful cover. I like this trade dress, much like the original Ultimate Universe of comic books. No matter what iteration they had, they always had like a really distinct trade dress to kind of differentiate it from the regular Marvel comic books. Really digging this. Love this cover. If you haven't been up to date on what the Ultimate Universe, since it's come back, has been doing, you get a nice little recap. 20 years ago, the Maker, which is the evil version of Reed Richards, if you're not aware, he prevented a radioactive spider from biting a young Peter Parker. He likewise prevented the creation of any other superheroes and formed a secret council to rule the world from the shadows. When Tony Stark learned the dark history of his universe, he sought to undo it, prompting the Maker's council to attack Manhattan, killing thousands, and framed Stark for it. Peter Parker has lived his life unaware of the Maker's Council or the truth behind the spider, but that is about to change. What that says is a lot of the heroes never came to be in this Ultimate Universe. So he is now a grown man with kids, married to Mary Jane. In the last Ultimate Universe, in Ultimate Universe 1, which came out after Ultimate Invasion, Tony Stark, you saw that there was like rooms with all these containers of all this stuff that has been, artifacts, things that were taken from history, including the spider. And there's other stuff too, obviously, that was taken to prevent the heroes from ever coming to be in existence on this world. I think that's an interesting take. I think, having 20 years jump into the universe being in existence and then seeing all the differences and the changes that were made. And one of them being, Peter Parker, a married parent. I love this family man. This is something that I feel like maybe some fans don't want their Spider-Man to be, but I really dig this. I think there's a place for this that could run alongside, much like the original Ultimate Spider-Man had a young one with an adult. I think there's room for this one, where we have the main Spider-Man in the regular Marvel universe and then, married with kids. He's got his son Richard and his daughter May. We get Mary Jane, and I love hearing her call him Tiger. It's just something I love about this. And couldn't sleep last night, and he's holding this weird orb. We don't know what it is, and we're going to see what it is as we go through it. And she's like asking, do you want to talk about it? Yes, I do, but I got to go. I have to get to the office. Now we're going to see where he works. Of course he works at the Daily Bugle. See Betty Brant. She's, hey, Peter. Hey, Betty. And we hear somebody yelling, Parker. Of course. Who is it but J. Jonah Jameson? But then he sees Peter. He says, morning, boss. He's like, oh, no time for chit-chat. He's still yelling, Parker. Who is it? Ben Parker, Uncle Ben, is alive, and he's managing editor at the Daily Bugle. Very interesting. Had no idea this was coming. So very unique take. And, he's like, hey, my ears work, Jonah. You don't have to yell. He's like, well, why didn't you answer? He's like, well, you were yelling. But I love this rapport between them. But this is a different J. Jonah Jameson. He's talking to him somewhat calm. They got a meeting. The money who owns the Daily Bugle is coming, and they want all management there. Ben had somewhere to go, but he'll be back in time. And then we see Peter come in. Why are you late? I love this. Well, it's probably because I was neither on time nor early. I'm going to have to use that next time. But then this friendship between Ben and Jonah, it's just, he's not a dick in this world. I mean, for the most part, he says you guys should have your own shows. Like, why would we need that? We have our own paper. And as Peter's leaving, Jonah has this nice moment. He's like, hold on, where's your tie? And he's like, I don't even think I ever own one. He's like, you got to wear a tie. Take your jacket off. Take mine. I want it back. They talk about, what Ben's going through. We don't really know yet. And I just think it's really cool to see this take on Jonah, where he has a deep friendship with Ben, and in turn, he kind of has this paternal take with Peter. And then we see, Ben, Peter going off, and there's this, big gathering of people, and he's asked, what's wrong with you? People are worried about you. And then he mentions, like, you came to live with me and your aunt when you were 15. Does it still hurt that they're gone? When he talks about his parents, passing, he's like, and he says, no, there's not a day. And he's like, good, then you know how I feel. And then we see May Parker, one of the deaths of this, event that took place in Ultimate Invasion, get Matt Murdock, get a little bit, he's a priest, which falls in line. And then we see, Norman and Emily Osborn have been dead. And then we get Harry Osborn, and he's coming, and he says this huge speech to everybody. Kind of interesting. What are we going to get with him? Norman was a Green Goblin. Like, you take him out of the equation. Is he going to be the new Green Goblin? Which we already know from, the solicitations that there is going to be one in the next issue. Get like some little moment between Peter and MJ, and, she takes the kids home. He's like, I got to take care of something. I'll be right back. And then we get back to the Daily Bugle, and Jonah's yelling, throwing shit. He quits. And then Ben comes in, and he's like, what did I miss? And then Robbie's like, well, they don't, there's going to be some restructuring, and Jonah didn't like the changes, and basically says, well, how do you think I should feel about that? And it's Fisk, and who I can only imagine is Bullseye, his bodyguard. And he's like, what's it supposed to mean? He's like, well, Jameson's out, Paper needs leadership. It seems you got yourself a promotion if you want the job, if you can toe the line. And I love this. Silence. And Ben smiles, walks out. He's like, all right, what are we going to do now? Because he just quit. Then we come later, and there's an attack on Fisk by none other than this new Green Goblin. Kind of reminds me of the design from the, Tobey Maguire movies, but I gotta say, I kind of dig this a little bit. Curious to see who it might be. We go to a bar with no name, and, Ben and Jonah figuring out what they're gonna do. They're both kind of, I would say not in their prime anymore, and they've been doing it for so long, they don't know anything else, so they're gonna start their own newspaper. And he's like, well, we got to tell the truth. And Jonah just laughs. He's like, the truth? There's some things I like to believe in, Ben, that I'm not going to die alone, that there's such a thing as justice, but in this entire universe there's only one thing I know for sure, and that's that there's no truth in the news and no news of the truth. Like I said, it's a dirty business. So how about this? We promise not to lie. Super great moment here too. Making their plans, Peter comes back, brings the tie, and they say, like, you can come, but he's got family, he's got bills. And so they basically say, like, you do what you got to do. And Peter's going through it, and he asks for advice. And we get a little bit of tiny little, nugget, kind of like how he gave him the responsibility and great power speech. But he says, you ever heard the saying, inaction is action? Well, that's just a garbage way of saying don't spend your life waiting for something to happen. Make it happen. I love you, son. But if you're walking around half asleep, anesthetized by your own life, then wake up. And then we get this. Peter's back. Get a little moment with his son. Talks to MJ, saying, I need a change. She basically says she has his back, whatever he does, because like he gave her the freedom to start her own business. And he's like, no, I need a change. He said, oh, that. What do you mean that? Some great relationship stuff here. I think Hickman has such a good voice for Spider-Man. He did I think it was like a 4 or 5 page story in that Amazing Fantasy 1000. It was my favorite Spider-Man story in there. So love that he's writing this version of Spider-Man. And then we get the mystery behind this orb. And here it is. It happened the night before what we've been reading up until now. And he gets this box come to him. It's talking to him. And it ends up being Tony Stark. And he gives him the lowdown about the whole thing with the spider, about how this world has been changed. And he didn't, his destiny was taken from him. And he's communicating to him 6 months in the future. And he's basically giving these, items back to the people to kind of get the heroes back. He touches it, and the spider is in the vial. Get this, like, as he's processing what he's going to do, wake up, go get him, Tiger. And then the spider bites, and we end with Spider-Man standing over the city with a great shot. Great first issue. I can't say enough. I can't even say how much I enjoyed this. It's such a great Spidey comic. Kind of, like the original Ultimate Spider-Man one where you didn't see Peter in costume. At least we don't have to wait 4 or 5 issues for it. Really dig this. Can't wait to see what this take. has in store for all of us. And I gotta say, Marvel's been killing it so far for 2024. A lot of the videos so far that I've recorded this year for new books have been Marvel. So get out there, pick up the book. While you're at it, like, follow, subscribe, hit that bell icon so you're notified every time a new vid drops. And on that note, I'm out.